Ay, 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 Good. We are live and we are learning some Torah. We are on chapter 42 in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, number 17. We've been learning the laws of how to behave at a meal, which your mother and father probably tried to instill in you. But we're learning it not just from a point of view of good table manners, but I call these Jewish table manners. In other words, what does the Torah tell us how we should behave during a meal? Asur l'orchim. So let's say you are a guest at somebody else's meal. Asur l'orchim litol klum mamashiv lefanav. A guest shouldn't take anything from which is put before them. Liten biyad benoy oibito shel baal habayis, and give it to the son or the daughter of a host. Right, so you're the guest. They put some food in front of the guest. Okay, and to give it to one of the children in the house. Ki shema ein lebal habayis yoser, because we're concerned that the host may not have any more food from what he served the guest. Again, first we're going to go through it, then we're going to get back to it. How does it apply today? And maybe the host is going to become embarrassed that they don't have enough food to also serve the guests now, because you took the food that was given to the guest, you give it to the kids. Aval. But if there's a large amount of food on the table, mutar is permitted. In other words, when you're a guest, we do things we're concerned to not embarrass the host on the amount of food they have or what they do or don't have. So this is one example that if the host gave you some food, you eat what they gave you, and you're not magnanimous and pass it on to the others at the table, because maybe there's no more for the others and they wanted to honor you. But if there's going to be a lot of food, and right, and today, thank God, most people are in a situation when there's food on the table. There's going to be enough for everybody. Number 18. Hanich was the bias. Let's say you entered the house of somebody else. Lo yoimar, you shouldn't say to them, Tenu li le'echol, give me food to eat. Ad sheyamru lohem, and they should wait for them to say that it's time for a meal. Asur lechol, it's forbidden for a guest to eat. Misuda she'eino maspekes lebala, from a meal that doesn't have enough for the owner of the house. Shezeu avak gazela, because this is like a little bit of theft. Afal pi shebalabais mazmin lechol, even though the host invited the guy to eat with them, or the guest to eat with them. Fu avon gadol umin adavarim shekasha lishvalayim. And this is a big sin, and one of the things you can't do tshuva over. So first, let's explain what's going on. First of all, it makes sense. You shouldn't go into a house and say, "Oh, give me food." Now, the Mishnah Berurah says after you're served, you can begin to eat right away, and you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for them to say, "Okay, now it's time to eat." If you're a paying guest, right, you're at a bed and breakfast, you can request the food. And a quick thing, so I remember Rav Besser, Zichron Tzadik Livracha, would say it's not a mitzvah to eat cold soup, right? So you'd be at his house for like a Shabbos meal, and somebody who hadn't been there before would wait because maybe they would be served the the soup first on a Friday night, and they want to be polite and wait for Rabbi Besser to start. And he would say, it's not a mitzvah to have cold soup, right? So additionally here, right, we see that once the food's in front of you, you're permitted to eat. And why is it difficult to repent? Well, what is that all about? So it's like this. So if you see that, when the host does not have enough for them to eat, and you're eating, what's going on here? So one who does this will often not realize that he's not done anything wrong, since he ate only after being invited, and therefore not likely that he will repent because he didn't know that he did anything wrong. But again, we're not going to, thank God, please God, these issues won't come up a lot. Okay, number 19. Asur, let's say, it's forbidden for one to leave your place. Now, this is a big one. In other words, this comes up a lot. It has nothing to do with being a guest. It has to do with where you're gonna say the Birkat Hamazon, where you're gonna say the blessing after the meal, and this comes up a lot. So the Shulchan Aruch says, "Asur l'tzeis," a person shouldn't leave their place. Until you said the Birkat Hamazon. So what's going on? You're having a meal someplace, and but you know what? Something came up. You want to go check on something. You want to go do something, and he said, "I'll come back to the meal." Right? It's not a case of you're eating and you need to go to the refrigerator and get some, ketchup. We're talking about you want to go somewhere else. You want to go to the office. You forgot something at the office. You're going to come right back. So this is a problem. Even to go into the middle of meal, even to just go to another room. Let's say you started the meal in the dining room, but now you finished the meal there, and now you want to maybe have dessert in another room. We're concerned if you start going around from room to room, that you might forget, right? Even just to go outside to take care of something, like to go get your mail, right? And return to your place afterwards to finish your meal. Yesh is a hair mizeh. You should take care not to do this. We're not talking about somebody who's leaving the room momentarily, right? We're talking about somebody who's going to do something else in the middle of the meal. What's going on? We learned before that the concept of hesech das. In other words, where you remove your concentration from the activity that you're involved in. So there is an opinion that leaving the room, in the middle of your meal, it's like a hesech das on your meal. It's like an interruption of the original bracha on the meal. You went, you said hamotzi, started eating the bread, but now you went and did something else. You went and did another activity. You're not thinking about the bread or the meal that you're having. So now maybe you'd have to say another bracha, right? You lost the focus. So because of this opinion, and the issue that I mentioned previously about forgetting to say it, but here he's specifically speaking about the hesech das, the loss of concentration. So there's an opinion that maybe you'd have to say another bracha. Maybe you'd have to say another blessing. And ideally, you shouldn't put yourself in a situation which creates this doubt. And the halacha doesn't follow that opinion. In other words, were it to happen, you wouldn't say another hamotzi. You went to check the mail, came back. Okay. And Mishabura and the Kitzur say, it's okay, you can go out for a moment, but you really should be careful. this. He's concerned. So he says, you don't have to go back. Now let's say you did it, right? Okay. So, excuse me. Let's say you did it. You left the room. You went somewhere else. You went to your office. Whether you did it on purpose or by accident. In other words, you forgot that you were in the middle of a meal, or you knew you were in a meal, but you thought, I'm going to go to the office and take care of something there and bench there. Right? Let's say you went to the other place now, or you return to the original place to finish your meal. You don't have to say hamotzi again, right? So you left your meal, and now you remembered that you didn't say the Birkat Hamazon. So you can say Birkat Hamazon wherever you are. You don't have to go back to the place where you originally were, right? Or let's say you do go back to the original place, okay? You don't have to say Hamotzi again. Okay. Next. Normally, when you leave the place in which you recited a bracha.
Does that also apply when you go to the bathroom?
No, we have a few more parts to get through, because again, it's a little bit complex. Okay. But the bathroom wouldn't be a problem, and going to the kitchen to get some more food wouldn't be a problem. But we are concerned that when you leave a place, that the blessing that you made on the food originally, and then you're gone. So maybe that concludes your eating session, right? And so maybe the bracha, the blessing that you said, would now no longer be effective if you wanted to eat somewhere else, right? And then now you came back, so maybe you need a new bracha. So the Kitzur is going to explain why you don't have to say another bracha. Okay? Dekevan. Since Shakava Sudas Alpas, since the person made their meal on bread, even though they changed their place during the meal, we're going to consider the whole thing, the food that they ate in one place and in the other place as one meal. You should be careful. So he says, just make sure to have some bread in that other location. With regard to other foods other than bread, the halacha is not like this. We're going to explain it a little bit later in chapter 50. So now, and I'll explain what's there now. So now the Mishnah Berurah explains that the difference between bread and other foods is that there's an obligation to write Birkat Hamazon in a place where one ate with bread. And since even if you leave the room, you're supposed to return to say Birkat Hamazon there. Leaving the room is not considered necessarily a cessation of the eating session. And even when you eat in the second plate, it's considered a continuation of the meal. And you're supposed to eat some food some bread in the new place. So then, of course, the situation could arise. You don't have bread in the other place. So, okay. That's you're still going to say Birkat Hamazon if you can't get back to the original place. So let's say a person left during a meal and wants to continue the meal somewhere else. Okay. They knew they were going to. They want to do that. So then they have to eat some bread, at least a kazayas of bread in the other place. However, if a person completed their meal and didn't say Birkat Hamazon before leaving, right? They're going to eat Birkat Hamazon in the second place, even if they had less than a kazais. As I explained, right? In other words, l'chachila, right? Ideally, you should have a kazais of bread in the new location. But let's say you don't have bread there, or you're not full, you're not hungry. You don't have to force feed yourself this additional bread. So now you can say the bracha. So you're going to say the bracha there. And all of this is to remind us to be cautious when we're having a meal. And the Kitzer and the Mishbura, right? Bread is unique because there isn't the same requirement. Let's say you had an apple in one room. There's not the same requirement to say the bracha achrona, the after blessing, on the apple in the same location, like there is on bread. Some authorities hold that since one eats grain products or fruit of the 7 species, apple's not one of those, you also have to say the bracha in the place where you ate it. And some authorities hold that since you ate the grain products, the fruit species, but then he says leaving it, then some say it's leaving it is not an interruption. So just to recap here. So there's a special, everybody agrees that there's a specialness to bread about saying the blessing after the meal in the place where you had the meal. Some say even on something like cake or cookies, I'm getting hungry, or the 7 species. So you have, let's see, a pomegranate or dates or olives, raisins, right? So these also you want to say it. But if you didn't say it in the same place, you got to another place, whether you did it by accident or on purpose, you still can say the bracha achrona, the after blessing there. You don't have to get yourself back. But if it's, let's say you went to the bedroom and you forgot to bless, so you should absolutely go back to your room where you had the meal. But if you went to the office or you got in the car, you should pull over and say the bracha then. And this is something that comes up, all the time. And one more thing that comes up, people sometimes they want to say, like on Shabbos, I'm going to start my meal here, right, and end my meal somewhere else. That can be done, and we discuss it in a bunch of places in the Shulchan Aruch. It absolutely can be done when you say to yourself, I'm going to start my meal here and go somewhere else. However, I want to caution that that's only in a place where you're going to be able to continue your meal, right? If you say, I'm going to start my meal here, and you just think, maybe I'll get to that other shul, and maybe they'll still be having their kiddush there, right? So that's not going to work. That's not going to work. You have to have it.
What about like if you're going to like daven mincha or something, and they like need you there or something, or to the tent or.
Yeah, you got to bench first. You got to bench.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You got to see the bracha from them. All right, everybody. Please, God, we'll continue tomorrow. It's good to be learning again. I'm still not 100%, but it says that learning Torah is a way of healing. So we wanted to get back into the learning with everybody. Take care.
Thank you. Get stronger.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Have a good one.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.